Government needed to spend to stimulate the economy, but government didn't have the revenue. The federal government only struggled to pay salaries and debt. They couldn't release. They promised to do 2 trillion in capital spending. They end up struggling to do 1 trillion. So you lost fiscal policy because of low level of liquidity. You lost monetary policy because at low levels of reserves, there is excess demand on the foreign exchange market. If the central bank eased, it's going to affect the value of the naira adversely. So the central bank is not going to be able to ease until they are sure that all demand on the foreign exchange market can be met. That easing monetary policy doesn't lead to devaluation. And that stage will be reached when you have enough reserves to meet demand. Maybe that's 42 billion, maybe that's 50 billion. We are not there. The evidence that you are there is that there will be no gap. You'll be back to a situation in which the prime market rate is the same as the interbank rate.
Mr. Terrible,
so solve that problem, and the next one to connect with the rest, all the sectors. The best thing you can do to all sectors is provide them infrastructure. Be it road or energy. You were talking about
power.
Whether it's power or petrol or gas. If you could successfully deliver infrastructure, you have reached the poorest of the poor. Because the cost, of living will be reduced by access to infrastructure. You are going to lift their welfare. So Nigeria has, if you like, a liquidity problem and an infrastructure problem. So if you could, whatever you could do, as you've done in telecoms, to make infrastructure available to the generality of the people, to all sectors, all states, that's what's going to
okay, we'll take a moment and come back to tidy up on how to spread this monies. Please don't go away. Welcome back. You were going to ask something.
Yeah, I was talking about inflation rates. Right now, we have the double digit of 15.1%, and we are going into, election year, and a lot of analysts are saying this could also spike because of, the spending. So how do we ensure that, we take care of inflation rates so that it doesn't continue to affect all of the economic issues?
Well, I think that is the challenge of monetary policy management going forward. For the past 5-6 years, nothing has actually moved. I mean, they've maintained the benchmark rate at 14%, almost for 3 years now. So, and we can see some bit of correlation between the benchmark rate and inflation. So at the point where we had single-digit inflation, 9%, I think the benchmark rate was about 11%. Today we have 14%, and then inflation has hovered between 18 and now 15% or thereabout. So meaning that monetary policy management will be key. But again, I think Nigeria is going to be a dilemma. So how do we juggle that? Managing inflation, trying to ensure that inflation doesn't spike out, orbit out of the range, and at the same time having, affordable credit to the private sector, because as it is right now,
it's not
it is not.
Okay, Mr. Terrible, I have a tweet here, and two actually directed at you. So Tunde Energy says he's really pressed, but you're talking economy, so he has to wait for you to finish talking before he goes to use himself. But Action Talk says, I want to ask, when the Nigerian Naira oil revenue was at 100 billion Naira average, how much was stolen and misappropriated? Now my point, Nigeria is liquid, but the leakages have to be blocked. It said, see the 219 billion Naira wasteful items in the 2018 budget. That's some Action Talk. So the question of liquidity is still here. I mean, you hear figures, out there you hear the CBN injected 200 billion into the forex market. So a lot of Nigerians will be asking, and indeed people are asking, so every day they're injecting 200 billion. Where is that coming from? When we say there's no liquidity in the system, every day we hear of these amounts, and budgets are projections, so let's not use that. Well, you hear them say CBN has injected 200 billion into the forex exchange. So where is this liquidity that they are injecting
and
coming
he's
from?
also talking about blocking the leakages.
And then blocking the leakages.
Right, and liquidity is about export revenues, which we said is still anywhere between 40 billion, slightly above. So Nigeria earns, if you like, 40 billion per year in export revenues, even at the low level of output. And right now, we should be doing maybe better than 50 billion where the price is. So that's in an economy that's more than 400 billion US dollars. 200 million, 500 million injection at pittance, not great. And mind you, they are for exchange. It's not as if central bank is spending the money. They are selling forex in return for naira. Leakages, yes. I believe that in the new regime that we are, the leakages have reduced considerably.
Okay.
Whistleblower policy and the rest of it. Although, you never get perfection, we should do more to deal with it.
Dr. Eva, we have to go now. Wish you had more time.
I was going to ask, what's your own prediction, for
Projection.
this? Projections, yes.
Can we quickly check that?
Just in one word.
If in one word, you can say.
Yeah, what you were saying about inflation. Inflation has declined.
There's no time, please just
10 or 11 consecutive months in 2017.
Yes.
Okay.
That pattern is likely to continue in 2018.
Okay.
Dr. Ayateriba is an economist, and Bonga is also an economist. Thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your thoughts. Wish we had more time, but we really have to go. Sunrise will be back in a moment. Please don't go away.